Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches. I'm super excited because this is the second drop of 2020 and what a great way to do it. We have a range from really awesome vintage watches to modern watches to some brand new unworn. So again, the kind of mix we sort of specialize in here at Gibble Watches. I would like to thank you all for the great feedback on the first episode of 2021. It went down really well. The watches have gone really well. A few have already sold, so thank you very much. And we also did a Langer video, which has gone down very well too. So if you haven't seen those, go check them out on the channel. We aim to do more of those, so hopefully 3 videos a week if we can keep it up. As always, in the description there will be a link to every watch you see here for the website and also a timestamp to skip to that specific part of the video where I am discussing that watch. And I'd just like to remind you guys and girls, here in the UK we are in lockdown still, so these watches are all available via shipping, but unfortunately not for you to come and view. I'm getting a few emails and a few messages of people who apparently are on different planets at the moment. You cannot come to the office and view these watches. You can buy them and we offer a returns policy if they are not for you, but viewing is not on the table. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at what's on my wrist. So if you saw the last Q&A, I'm wearing the same watch because it's the same day. I'm shooting them directly after each other, but this is a gorgeous 1950s Mido power wind, a really stunning example, oversized at about 37 millimeters, and as I said, 1950s. The condition is fantastic. The dial's original and it does feature some age, as you'd expect, but one I am absolutely in love with, and it is not for sale. It's part of the personal collection. Now, where to begin? I think we start with my favorite of the drop, and I'm quite biased because I do love vintage Omega. It is a stunning vintage Omega with probably one of the most fascinating dials I've seen in a long time. So to begin is a favourite of mine and one I got to enjoy a little while before we sent it in for service, but this is a gorgeous Omega manually wound tropical dial, which is from 1947, so a very early example, right after the Second World War. Now the dial has turned this very strange yellowy orangey colour and is more to one side, which is quite unusual. So this was probably been in a very hot country, a very humid country over the time. Exactly where, we don't know, but that is radium that you see in the numerals and radium on the hands, which is all original and aged beautifully along with the dial. Now inside this is a manually wound Omega caliber 265, which as I said has received a service. It is a nice screwback caseback, which is exactly the sort of ones you want for this period. They're some of the nicer examples. It doesn't feature a sign crown, but it wouldn't have originally either. So a very stunning example. As you can see, we've got it paired on this suede strap, which in my opinion works really well, but I have gone a bit crazy with these suedes. We do have other options, but as I always say, focus on the watch because the strap is so easily changed and the last thing you should be focusing on. Now the reference of this model is the reference 2622-1, and we'll show it here on wrist. A very nice profile and size. It's 35mm by 42.5mm lug to lug. It is only 10mm thick and 18mm lug, so endless strap options and opportunities there to sort of match up and pair up to what you wish. But the highlight of this is definitely that dial. The theory is that it was again worn in a hot country and likely worn on this wrist. And the reason for that is where you can see the more heavy patina, it could have very easily been under someone's cuff up to about there, and that was the part showing more often. Again, that is a theory, there's no way of proving it, but it's a very realistic one nonetheless. So go check it out on the website and nab it up before someone else does. So from 1947, let's go all the way to very modern. Let's take a look at this Oris Aquis. The Oris Aquis date in 43mm, which at first glance of the numbers you'd think it's quite large, but thanks to the way the case is shaped and the integrated bracelet, 43 wears perfectly. It wears more like a 40 mil on the wrist. This is the gloss black dial, as you can see, with the vibrant orange highlights. A really gorgeous example. The condition is stupendous, really great condition. Obviously a worn watch, but very hardly worn, and the reference of this we won't say out loud. It's on the website. The reason being it's like a million digits. It's ridiculous what Oris do. The watch is from December 2019 and it does come with its box and papers, and beating away inside is the Oris caliber 733 with the iconic red rotor. The caliber is basically based off a Solita SW200, which they've given their own name, but they don't hide the fact it's a Sellita. They put it on the website quite proudly, and rightfully so. The watch does feature its integrated bracelet. There are other options. There's leather and rubber that you can get for this watch on the Oris website, and it does feature a solid milled diver extension with quick adjust on the clasp there, and a solid milled bracelet with push buttons to open. Really nice brushed and polished in the opposite fashion to what you usually see, and same with the case. Really nice finishing for what it is, and the prices of these are fantastic. I mean, just over £1,000 and you get a hell of a watch, that's for sure. Let's show it here on wrist. It does come with all of its spare links, so it is a full-size bracelet, but right now it's sized to my wrist. The dimensions are, as I said, 43mm, which, as you can see, it wears really well on my wrist, and I have quite a small wrist. It's by 50mm lug to lug and only 13mm thick, but as I said, an integrated bracelet, so you won't be able to swap out onto generic straps unless it's like 12mm, and it would look silly, so I don't recommend that. But there you have it, a gorgeous example, full box, full papers, and one to definitely keep an eye out for. From the gorgeous Oris Aquis to another stunning Oris. Let's have a look. Why just have one Oris in a drop when you can have two? Here is a really cool Oris Divers TT1 or TT1 as it's called, automatic, and it is on its bracelet. It does come with its box and papers, which also includes a rubber strap. So not only do you get the bracelet, but you also get the rubber strap. The watch is in great condition, as you can see, really nice, and the only wear you're going to see is general wear that you'd expect on a watch from 2005, which is when this is from, January 2005 to be exact. The bezel, which was originally black, has gone a sort of almost blue, as you can see in certain lights, and it does have scratches as well, but a gorgeous watch nonetheless, and that adds a bit of charm in my opinion. You've got a signed screw down crown there, and the case dimensions are a bit deceiving because it's 45mm, but if I turn it, you can see the way the case slopes outwards, almost like a Seiko turtle, as opposed to coming up, if that makes sense. So it's wider at the bottom than it is at the top where the actual face of the watch is. But the dimensions, as I said, are 44mm on the case size by 52mm lug to lug. So this is usually a lot larger than what I would ever wear, especially with those dimensions. But as you can see on my wrist, it wears really surprisingly well. Because of the sort of wrist ergonomics that they've managed to do thanks to that integrated bracelet. It's only 12.5mm thick, so it wears very thin, and 10.5mm in that little lug gap, but as I said, it is a integrated bracelet design, and it does come with the rubber, so you've got two options there. But a really nice piece nonetheless, and for the prices that these are, I think it's a really great deal. Because you're getting an Oris Diver with a very reliable movement in. This is the caliber 633, which predates the 733 that's in the latest ones, but still based on a Sellita or an ETA at this point. So really good example, really great offering, and not a lot of money for what you get, especially an example like this, which is box and papers. Sticking to the diver theme but done slightly different, the Olek and Varge. A watch brand with a name that everyone seems to pronounce differently, and I have no idea if I'm saying it right. It is Olek and Varge, Olek and Varge, whatever you want to call it. A really interesting brand with a great history, some fantastic vintage models, especially in the Chronograph line in my opinion. But this is a brand new modern 2019 OWP 101, which is their pilot reference. You can see you've got a 12-hour bezel on there. Really interesting hand design, which we'll put a closer photo of and a date down there at 5. So a really interesting design. They do have a number on the crown and a nice signed case back as well, and inside here is the ETA 2824-2, so a very reliable movement nonetheless, and it's paired on its original unworn brown strap with Olek and Varge signed buckle with the established date on there as well, when they first began, 1958 I believe. 56, sorry, there you go. But a gorgeous piece. Now, as I said, this watch is unworn. It does come with its box and papers and is still stickered, so you can save yourself a nice chunk of change on the retail price by picking this one up. And the dimensions are very good at 40mm by 50mm lug to lug, so right on the cusp of what I personally would wear. 12.5mm thick and 20mm lug, so endless options there. You've got drilled lug holes as well to make strap changing a breeze, and the strap it comes on is super nice and a very good looking watch, and the lume, the way it's faux patinaed and everything, and the bezel, I just think these are really great. We've had a few Olek and Varge in, and they have been very popular, so go check this one out. And from there, let's go back to vintage. Let's take a look at a 1960s Rhodania Diver. Next up is a vintage diver from Rhodania, or Rhodania, however you want to pronounce it. It's from around the 1960s. Very interesting design, as you can see, a nice stainless steel case, black bezel, you've got those red highlights on the dial, really nice loomed hands, and a day date feature as well. A really gorgeous looking watch, obviously on a more of a budget for those that want that diver style but don't want to pay an awful lot of money. But the good thing about this is it's still a quality piece. You've got an automatic AS caliber 2066 inside, which is a very good caliber. The crown does screw down, and you can manually wind it as well as quick set the date as well, which is always nice. But the highlight here is the size as well. It's 37mm by 44mm lug to lug. It's only 13mm thick, and it has a lug width of 18, so endless options there. But a 37mm diver with a very good automatic AS caliber, really nice design, nice case, as you can see. It's got that really gorgeous chamfer along the edge with the brushing and a screw down crown, all for under £500. You know, it puts it on par with a lot of very good options out there, but a slightly nicer design in my opinion as well. So go check it out, take a look at the macros. A very interesting piece. Right now we've got it on this sort of bond NATO, but the options are endless that you could put it on. Now on to one that was in the personal collection for a while, but needs must. I mean, I can't keep everything, so let's take a look at the WMT. So one that has made its way from the personal collection. For those of you that saw my state of the collection, you'll probably recognize this once it gets in focus. It's the WMT. This is the UAE limited edition, which a lot of people really like, because one, it looks like a vintage Rolex GMT with a tropical dial and the Bakelite bezel, as you can see. Even the bezel's done in brass like the original would have been. But it's also Arabic, so you can see you've got Arabic in the bezel there, and also the date is full Arabic as well. So super cool on the riveted style bracelet. So WMT make homage watches to some of the most unobtainable vintage Rolex models and other models out there as well, and they make them at a very affordable price with fantastic build quality for what they are as well. Inside this is a Miyota caliber, so it's not a Seiko as often seen, but really gorgeous nonetheless. Screw down crown. Right now it's only got enough links to fit my wrist, but we do have the spare links on the way, so rest assured it will be a full bracelet soon, hopefully. It does come with its box and papers, and it is in worn condition, but hardly. I probably wore it about 10 times max, and I'm usually very careful with my watches, so you may see some hairline scratches here and there, but overall it really isn't too bad. And interestingly as well, the dimensions, let's talk about that. So you'd usually think these homage watches come in at like 40mm, but what makes this very interesting is this is 38mm by 46mm, so super nice and compact on the wrist for the design. It's 14mm thick with 20mm lugs and drilled lug holes as well, so endless options there, but I think it looks best on the bracelet personally. And what a cool looking watch. And it really does look like the vintage Rolex with a Bakelite bezel. And now on to another one of Leah's finds. Unfortunately, she's not here today, so she can't do the introduction as she did in the last one, but a stunning Nevada. Nevada, a brand I am falling more and more in love with each and every day, especially their vintage models. And it's interesting to see that they've come back as well, and they're offering some really great examples at very good prices. But the vintage will always win for me. And this is a very interesting one. As I said, Leah found this one, but it is a 1960s Nevada chronograph with its original cream dial, and it's got red and blue accents within the tachymeter scale, which is super interesting. Pump pushers as well, and beating away inside this is the manually wound Landeron 248, which is a start with the top chrono, stop and reset via the bottom chrono, so slightly opposite to what you'd usually expect, but gold plated, as you can see, steel back, but the condition of the gold plating is fantastic. Some wear to the pushers as you'd expect, and some wear to the case, but overall very good. As you can see, we've got it paired on this very nicely fitting brown sort of racing vintage strap with the stitching. I think it works really, really well against the gold plating. But the charm is definitely the size. Again, with these vintage watches, this is 36mm by 45mm, so really beautiful dimensions for a vintage chrono. 13mm thick and 18mm lug width, so endless options. So check this out if you're looking for a gold-plated chronograph under £500. So much value to be had here, and again, it comes with our 12-month warranty, as you'd expect as well. And last but by no means least, a really, really beautiful rotary with its original Bakelite box. And to finish, a very interesting rotary, but let's first show the original Bakelite box. Super, super cool Bakelite, so it's sort of the early plastic. Now this watch is from the 1930s, let's put that up there, and it is a gorgeous Art Deco rectangular stainless steel watch on one of these bond clip style bracelets, which works really, really well. You could swap it out with the push pins onto a leather strap if you wish, but the highlight is the dial. I'll get that up nice and close. You've got the original radium within the numerals and the hands, which is absolutely perfect. A gorgeous little sub-seconds down there, and the dial colour is stunning. As I said, all steel, which is what you want for these little rectangular pieces from the 30s ideally. We do have a few chrome options, but they come in a lot cheaper because of that. And inside this watch is the manually wound ETA caliber 765, which is a beautifully decorated movement. We don't show the movement photos on the website just as a rule for all the watches, but we can give them to you if you request via email or WhatsApp. We're more than happy to open up the watches and show you. But stunning nonetheless. As I said, it comes on the bond clip. Now for 1930s, it's a smaller watch, but it still wears gorgeous. As you can see there, that's a perfect shot. So it is 22mm by 39mm, which is not too bad for a rectangular watch for him or for her. Only 8mm thick and 14mm lugs. So you've definitely got some strap options out there. I believe we have a few 14mm leather straps as well. We'll happily throw one in with the purchase of this, so you have the bond clip and a leather strap if you so wish. But stunning, stunning watch. Go check it out on the website, see the closer photos. It's got a very interesting case design as well, which is more waterproof for these 1930s, with the screws into the case to take off the case back, as opposed to just a snapback or a screw down. Sort of goes through the lugs. Very, very interesting. Great history with the brand as well. Rotary is a amazing vintage brand, not like the modern pieces that unfortunately they make today, which aren't particularly great. But go check this one out and take it before someone else does. So there you have it. That is the second drop of 2021. I am super excited for this year. It's going so well. We're getting so many incredible watches in from all price ranges, all ages, and everything in between. So I want to thank all you guys and girls for that. And don't forget, if you do have a watch for sale, go to our website and there's sell button on the top. There is a form for you to fill out. It's super simple. You'll get a response usually within a 24 to 48 hours at the moment. And if you did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like. It really does help, and maybe leave a comment as well. Let us know what's your favorite of what's on the table today. And we will see you all again next week. We're going to do this every week for the rest of the year. I'm super excited. Let's keep it going. Keep safe out there, keep well, and we will see you all again next time. Take care.